Well, my name is John Mott. I'm the co-owner and cider maker at Beaver Valley Cidery. And we're standing on our crushing pad right now. And I'm about to take you into our production area.
So when did you start everything here?
I think we planted our orchard we've owned the property for almost 25 years, but we planted our orchard in 2009. I've got 8 acres of heritage varieties planted at the top of our property, and we opened to the public for retail, I think, in 2013. So this is probably our 7th season.
And a little bit of a different season this year.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. We close seasonally, so we normally close from January 1 to mid May, and coincidentally, phase 1 sort of came in about 2 weeks later than we would normally have opened. So we've been kind of unaffected by COVID, and our business levels now are running higher than last year. So I think we're getting the benefit of people having been cooped up and anxious to get out and enjoy themselves again. So we've made some changes. Obviously, we're doing all of our tastings and by the glass sales outdoors. But so far the weather's cooperated so that we haven't really been impacted by bad weather either. So that's really the only change. We just kind of moved our operation outside. The other thing I've noticed that I don't have any hard date on it, but the per visitor sales seem to have gone up. People, before they might have bought 2 bottles or 3 bottles, now they're buying a case when they leave. So I don't know whether that means they've made their one visit for the season and they're stocking up, or whether they're drinking more. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
I think we were finding that drinking as a whole was up quite a lot, especially within the cities and so on, because there's not the ability to go to a patio or whatnot, or wasn't before.
Mm-hmm.
And people have been sort of more and more loading up, as you had said. So it is a very interesting space to be in,
yeah.
Especially when it comes to selling products. So.
Yeah. Well, it could be people are maybe, entertaining themselves on their decks as opposed to patios somewhere else. But yeah, it's a new normal. So what you see here, as I said, this is our crush pad. So I'm borrowing wine lingo, but our pressing pad. If I was doing my sort of formal tour, I would tell you that that big green tank there is the start of our pressing operation. So we fill it full of water, and we're able to dump 1 bin of apples at a time. So a bin is about 20 bushels or 800 pounds. So we can dump a bin of apples in the tank, and there's a current in it, so they flow to one end, and we get to do a little quality control. If we see a bad apple, we can yank it out, and it goes up a little elevator and drops into our press. This is what you're looking at is it's a continuous belt press. So theoretically, you can indefinitely dump apples in one end, and juice gets pressed in the middle, and dry pumice comes out the other end. Continuous is a bit of a misnomer because there's always something breaking down. But it's funny, I have a little story. Mike Beck, who owns Uncle John's Cider Mill in Michigan, he was giving a little presentation at a cider conference, and he has a machine almost identical to this, and someone in the audience asked him how long the belts last, and he said, "You mean if you don't put your coffee cup on it?"
An expensive mistake, yeah.
Because as you see, those rollers will make quick work of a coffee cup. But so far I haven't made that mistake, but no, it's pretty efficient, and we've kind of got a perfect recycling operation here because you can't see it from here, but our neighbor grazes cattle on our pasture, and so we feed the dry pumice to the cattle and they just love it. So we've kind of and then they in turn fertilize the pasture, so we've got a continuous cycle of life going on. So would you like to go inside? So we've renovated an old Century barn to house our whole cider operation. So we're on the lower level now. This is where when I say Century barn, our barn has been dated to about the 1870s. So originally when the barn was made, there would have just been a packed earth floor, and they would have kept the animals in here during the winter. And there was when we bought the barn, there was a hatch in the ceiling where they could drop hay down to feed the cattle, and so we've totally renovated the barn, and the lower level is all kind of food safe and food friendly, and we do all of our fermenting here, all of our bottling, and we have a little bit of finished product storage down here. This so we as you can see, we do all of our fermenting in 1,000-liter IBCs. We found IBCs being used in the UK for making cider, and they're great because they're food safe, they're inexpensive, and they can be moved around quite easily and cleaned quite easily.
Mm-hmm. Especially compared to the tanks where,
Yeah, we have some stainless steel tanks we have a bright tank for doing carbonation and filling, and then we've got some other stainless tanks for longer term storage. There is oxygen permeation through the high density plastic of an IBC, so they're not good for long term storage, but they're great for fermenting. This is our counter pressure filler. Came directly from Italy. We do all of our bottling on this machine. Friday actually is a scheduled bottling day, I always like to point out to visitors my best friend, my hot water pressure washer. Cider making might seem glorious, but we spend about 90% of our time cleaning something. So cider making is mostly cleaning up after yourself.
Yeah.
So I'll take you upstairs, show you our tasting room.
Sure. Product-wise, what do you have for 2020?
We currently have 5 products. We have our flagship hard cider. We've got a 100% pear cider. We choose to call it pear cider as opposed to perry, but same thing. And we have a number of co-ferments. I think we just ran out of our vinifera cider, which is about it's local grapes, Baco Noir, and what was the other one? Frontenac. We about 10% grapes, 80% or 90% apple juice, co-fermented. Kind of tastes like very similar to a rosé. We just ran out of that, and probably we won't be remaking any until the fall.
And then do all of your apples come from on site, or do you buy from some local farmers?
We've got a 5 acres that is producing. It produces about 20% of our needs. The balance is from local growers. There's still about 50. We're in a commercial apple growing region. It's been commercial since the mid 1800s, and there's still about 50 family-owned orchards in the area, and new acreage is being planted So it looks like it's still got a future as a commercial growing area. I think Grey County, which is where we are, produces 25% of Ontario's apples.
Hence the apple pie trail idea and all of that, and even the new ones that are popping up in the last couple of years.
Yeah, this area is definitely known for apples. Yeah, it's interesting if you look at the history. The original settlers around Georgian Bay planted plums. They thought because of the moderating influence of the bay that plums would be a good crop, and then one winter came along and totally wiped out the plum crop, so they switched to apples and never looked back. We grow some pears here, almost exclusively. What is the Bartlett's? Just drew a blank. Mostly Bartlett's. But this, we can't really do other stone fruits up here. Plums and peaches don't really like the climate here.
So
you're in our tasting room now. If this was a normal year, we do our tastings here, and we have some indoor seating for groups, but looking out our windows, you can see we've set up event tents for our outdoor tasting, and we've got picnic tables throughout the property, so we're able to accommodate quite a few visitors.
And how did you get started into cider?
Well, we made cider on an amateur basis, and then my wife Judy and I took Peter Mitchell's cider making course in the UK, and later did his advanced course in Washington State. And as I said, we had the property for 25 years, and we had a business in Toronto that kind of kept us in the city, but we were so attracted to the area, we're kind of searching for something that would keep us here, and apples and cider making just seemed to be a good solution. So just kind of, I say it's a hobby that got out of control. We were actually we weren't the first cidery in the area technically. Thornbury, or it was actually called Peelers back when we started. They were producing cider here, but we were the first destination cidery in this Georgian Triangle. And most of our production is still sold from our retail location here. Mm-hmm. We do a little bit of kegging, but mostly just retail sales from here.
And have some reasons to be in Toronto and so on for other family reasons, right, as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, our son Josh owns Her Father's Cider Bar, and he sometimes gives us a tap, but we've got to fight like everybody else for room.
It's a fantastic and gorgeous space to be here in, and hopefully you'll be able to take a look at some of the photos that we will post on the website as well. So if people want more information about what you're offering and what you're doing, where can they go?
Well, our website is bvcider.ca, BV as in Beaver Valley, cider.ca. So they can reach me by email at john@bvcider.ca. We're on Facebook and Instagram @bvcider. So we're pretty available, pretty accessible, and we love visitors.
Well, thank you so much for a few moments to chat.
Thanks, Barry. Thanks for coming.